surprised by that. I'm so glad he asked you.
Good morning. Thanks for coming out on this unexpected snowy day. My name is Mary Kay Harrington, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick. Whether you are here attending in person or from home or gathering at one of our remote sites, we're really glad you're here. Today is Sunday, January 4th. Happy New Year, everyone. And Karma Amos is leading the service today. Today's reflection is titled, Practicing Resistance. It's Not Futile. It feels that way sometimes. Our music is being performed by Will Bristol and Robin Jellis. If you are new or visiting today and would like more information about our congregation, please stop by the table in the fellowship hall. The folks there will be happy to answer any questions. As we begin our service today, please silence your mobile devices, and once more, welcome. We're really glad you're here.
Good morning. My name is Tom Rump. I'm with the Wabanaki Awareness Group. Our church is located on the ancestral homelands of the Wabanaki, who have a deep, enduring, and ongoing relationship with local lands and waterways. We acknowledge the painful legacy of the region's colonial history and commit to better understanding it. We will work to recognize and welcome the presence and concerns of the Wabanaki, whose people and culture still live within and contribute to the vitality of this community we call home. To deepen our commitment to understanding the region's colonial history and that history's continuing impact, the Wabanaki Awareness Group is sharing a monthly poster and a question that it answers. The poster is in the church entryway, and this month's question is, how does the Brunswick Dam affect the Wabanaki?
Good morning. My name is Sue Michaud, and my pronouns are she, her. The reading today's chalice lighting is Breathe by Lynn Unger. Breathe, said the wind. How can I breathe at a time like this when the air is full of the smoke of burning tires, burning lives? Just breathe, the wind insisted. Easy for you to say if the weight of injustice is not wrapped around your throat, cutting off all air. I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe. Don't tell me to be calm when there are so many reasons to be angry, so much cause for despair. I didn't say to be calm, said the wind. I said to breathe. We're going to need a lot of air to make this hurricane together.
Good morning, beloveds. My name is Karma Amos. I use she, her pronouns, and I am honored to serve as your minister. As Mary Kay mentioned earlier, wherever you're joining us from, in person or online, in a group or on your own, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever the specifics of your background, no matter how much or how little you have in your bank account or your wallet, no matter how you navigate this world, you are welcome. We believe that you are worthy of dignity and respect here in this spiritual community and in every other part of your life. Happy New Year. It is indeed the first Sunday of 2026. Some of us probably arrived here this morning super happy to turn the calendar page to say to 2025, thank you for the surreal memories, but good riddance. Anyone feel that way? Others may be more reluctant to speed up time as quickly as it seems to accelerate as the years go by. Is anyone feeling a bit more like, hang on there, time, slow down a bit, I'm missing too much? Anyone feel that way? And some of you firmly in the middle, I assume. Well, this means that you have just passed the Are You Really a UU screening test. I'm starting on a light note because our theme for the month of January can be a somewhat heavy one, if only due to its extraordinary relevance in the current context of our world. We will be focusing on the spiritual practice of resistance. And if that made you go, or you're probably in the right headspace. This is a month of reflecting, of considering whether or not, and if so, how resistance might be a spiritual practice. And whom and what do we resist? How do we decide what we help along and what we intentionally put ourselves in the way of? These aren't questions that we have to answer now, just teasers of things to come. And we do not come together as a spiritual community, as the church, in a vacuum. There's always a context in which we reflect and in which we decide together how to engage the world around us. This is a new year and a new chance to ask some of these age-old questions. How is the world? How are we in it? Does anything need to change? And if so, how might we help it? Regardless of the answers, we need to keep breathing together, in and out, keeping ourselves and one another alive and centered on what matters, which for us is love. Our opening song for the year is Meditation on Breathing, which invites us to breathe in peace and breathe out love together. You can remain in your seats or rise. Assume whatever position will best facilitate your breathing as we center ourselves for worship.
We're going to build this up from the bottom. We'll all start by breathing together. And how we do that is like this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Let's keep going on that. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. You can keep singing that. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I will breathe out love. And when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, out. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, let me hear you sing. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. One more time. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. Back to breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Everyone sing. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Maybe so.
Good morning. My name is Tobin Cooney Callion, and I use the pronouns he and they, and I serve as your lifelong spiritual formation director. Now is the time in the service when I would like to call up our young folks to come on up and share a story with me. And you can come on up if it's your first time here, if it's your second time here, if you're 1,000,000th time here, or anywhere in between. Somebody asked me the other day, what if it's your 1,000,000th and one time? Can you come up? And I was like, no. Just kidding. You can come up at 1,000,000th and one time. Hello. Hello. Hi, Rosie. Hi, everyone. Hi, Brady. Good morning. It's good to see you all. How are you this morning, Mira? I'm pretty good. You starting off the year good? Oh, I'd like to hear it. How are you, Maya? Good. How's it going over there, Jocelyn? Excellent. Did you get a new hair color for the new year? I love it. Also, Noah, did you get a new hair color for the new year? Did every McKinney get a new hair color for the new year? That is so cool. All right. So I have a story for us today, but before I introduce it, does anybody know what we're talking about today? Karma said the word a few times. Maya? Resistance. What does it mean to resist? Maya? To not give in. Anybody else? Sometimes we have to fight for our voices, and we have to not give in, and we have to find all the different ways that we can inspire ourselves to stay in change, right? Does that sound true? So I have this great book for you. It's one of my absolute favorite books. It's called The Artist, and it's by Nicholas Smith. Now you can look here, or the pictures will also be up there. I love to paint. It relaxes me. They say I'm an artist. I love to help my community, to seed goodness in the world. They say I'm an activist. But sometimes the world that I see is not the world that I wish to see, and the problems seem larger than life. I want to scream. I want to help. I want to act. I want to hold up a mirror to the world and show everyone what isn't working right. This needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed too. Above the surface, this seems right, but that's when I realized that fixing things requires us all to look deeper. All I can do is paint the problems and the solutions people can work on together. I think it's time to combine both parts of who I am, to take action with my art. It's time to become an artivist. I will sketch and draw and scribble and paint the broken bones I see and the healing I hope for. Until hopefully I open a few eyes to the things that aren't working right, or many eyes. Artivism has the power to spark the compassion and empathy of the whole world, and the artivist can light that flame. The artivist can inspire others to give back by painting what every person deserves. The artivist must be brave enough to speak up, even when it's scary, and humble enough to listen before speaking. The artivist is an ally. The artivist is a protector of the planet and the planet's children. The artivist is a memory keeper, painting justice for all, especially those who no longer have a voice. The artivist doesn't only paint, she sings, he writes, they film. We repurpose, we build. We bring awareness to what can be changed for the better so that everyone can take action. The artivist is a visionary who pieces the world back together until the world is whole again. The artivist is you. What change will you create? So we are also in our classes going to talk about how we as individuals can change the world. And in order to do that, we have to get to our classes. So these folks are going to sing us out. And if you have not been to, by class I mean group, if you have not been to a group before, you can go ahead and follow us and we will show you where to go. Will you please lead us out with We Will Keep a Place for You?
We will keep a place for you wherever you may go. We'll sustain a home of faith and love you've come to know. Go in peace, bring hope to hearts that yearn. We will keep a place for you till you return.
Good morning. My name is Mary Larson. I'm substituting for Willa Whitehouse today, and I am here to read the joys and concerns. I also use she, her pronouns. Joys today. After 16 months as a stay-at-home dad and 6 months of underemployment, my first day at my new full-time job is tomorrow. That's from Mike Jakubowski. Well, good luck. Concerns. This is from Karma and the UUA. Yesterday, in response to the U.S.'s military strikes in Venezuela, our Unitarian Universalist Association reminded us of our 2010 Statement of Conscience regarding peace. In it, we affirm that all people share a moral responsibility to create peace, and that we repudiate aggression and preventative wars, the disproportionate use of force, covert wars, and targeting that includes a high risk to civilians. The UUA offers prayer for the safety of all who are in harm's way and urges us to raise our voices and pledge our active solidarity along with all people of faith and conscience who will, in the coming days and weeks, put values into action in the pursuit of peace, justice, and freedom for all our neighbors at home and around the world. We all have other concerns and hopefully joys. So I hope you ponder those for a minute. I also want to say, which I should have said at the beginning, that if you are watching from one of our remote sites or want to have a joy or concern read, you can email us at joys.and-concerns@uubrunswick.org. Any one of us who are wearing tags with light blue ribbons would be happy to meet with you, talk with you, or help in any way.
As we shift into a new month of reflection, into a new year, we have a new prayer response for this month. It's a song by Leah Morris called Heart Wide Open. It's a song we've done here before, but we want to take the time to go over it, so this morning we might let it really sink in. The music is on the screen, and Will is also going to line it out for us. And then we'll invite us to sing this song with feeling as a mantra of resistance to anything that gets in the way of love, of justice, of life as we know it can be. Let's sing this as a centering song of purposeful and prayerful resistance.
Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. Keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
Spirit of life, of hope, of inspiration, of possibility, and of peace, settle us, steel us, settle us, that we might garner the strength we need to keep our hearts open even in the face of suffering. Help us keep our eyes and our hearts open to see the humanity in the people around us, those whom we love and care about, as well as those whose actions appall us. Help us keep our hearts open to compassion, to our connection with one another and this world we share. Help us sustain our commitment to interdependence and equity, that our struggles might result in shared progress for all. Help us resist as final answer any that only aids the rich and powerful at the expense of the poor and marginalized. May our prayerful singing remind us that it is possible to keep our hearts open.
Keep your heart wide open, though the waves wanna push you around. I wanna keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
It can certainly feel like we're being pushed around sometimes by things that are largely out of our control, by illness, by accidents, by consequences of mistakes we have made, by decisions made by others a lifetime ago and those being made now. Some days it can feel like too much, and solutions to our common problems seem elusive at best. Yet to discover the love we long for, we must remain open to it. To have insights, we have to have our minds open to their potential, or we will surely miss them. Spirit, help us keep our hearts and minds and attitudes open that they may not restrict but support life for the sake of everyone everywhere. May our prayerful singing remind us it is possible to keep our hearts open.
Keep your heart wide open, though the waves they want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart, you've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. Till your faith brings you back to solid ground. One more time. Till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
Amen.
Good morning. I'm Suzanne Sargent, and I'm going to read a reading from Adrienne Marie Brown. When those in power are doing inhumane or anti-planet things, our choice is to be disruptive. To be impolite is one of the ways we wage small resistance that can become mass resistance and large-scale cultural and political transformations. We have learned this from ancestors in our lineages who helped expose and break massive systems like chattel slavery or Holocaust genocide. Small resistance historically has looked like a wrench in the gears, a slowing down, a rancid ingredient in master's food, enslaved people teaching each other to read and write, letting a fugitive sleep in your basement, learning how to give each other reproductive care, slipping each other cannabis for medicine. Small resistance these days looks like turning people who are supporting and promoting racist, transphobic, and inhumane policies away from your door. It looks like stopping next to police cars that have pulled people over and watching or filming them until the person stopped is allowed to leave. It looks like naming isms and phobias in real time and learning together. It looks like local direct actions at the homes of congresspeople who make decisions that harm humans or the planet.
So this morning we are beginning our reflections about practicing resistance. And I'm imagining that for many of us right now, given all that's going on in the world, we may immediately think about resistance as an urgent organizing strategy for people trying to resist authoritarianism and tyranny around the world. We may think first of the millions of people in our country who are channeling energy into regular acts of resistance to some of the harmful policies and actions of our government. People standing on bridges with signs, millions gathering for rallies, people holding vigil outside of legislators' offices every week. I'm so thankful for the retired people who have shown up in force. People of many different religious traditions are praying together in public for compassion and mercy for our neighbors, especially our immigrant, BIPOC, trans, and/or poor neighbors. We may think of the millions of people around the world engaging in acts of resistance in their own contexts. Environmental activists relentlessly trying to protect the planet. Iranian women flouting public dress codes. Nonviolent activists putting their bodies in the path of tanks to slow them down or turn them around. That may be what first comes to mind when we think about practicing resistance, and those are all stellar examples. We'll be talking this month about some standout, inspirational examples of resistance. And I also want to be really clear that there's so much more to the spiritual practice than these standout examples the world is already aware of. Resistance is also about small things that many may not notice. Practicing resistance can have application in our individual spiritual lives, in our communities that are striving to become more just and equitable, as well as the flashpoint situations that may be top of mind for us right now. Would you take a breath with me? Often these days, the phrase, "truth is stranger than fiction," comes to mind. Today, it's more like truth is stranger than science fiction. You see, I'm a Gen Xer, which means that I was front and center for the evolution of a new storyline in Star Trek. It was May of 1989 when the Borg first made its appearance on Star Trek Next Generation. This was 2 years before, I cannot believe I'm saying this, 2 years before the World Wide Web was made available to the public, which may have influenced the development of this storyline in some ways. The Borg was a powerful collection of individuals connected through hive mind or groupthink. They thought as one, as told to think. The Borg emerged over many centuries, starting off as a normal civilization that simply embraced cybernetic enhancement and nanotechnology. Over millennia, so the story goes, in their search for perfection and knowledge, they expanded and contracted and developed into something of a colonizing empire in the universe. They explored, they invaded, they extracted the resources of the other civilizations they encountered, and then they incorporated their people and their culture and their wisdom into themselves by force. If this sounds eerily familiar to you, you might be paying attention. The Borg were famous for saying, upon encountering a new kind of being, you will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. Star Trek's writers imagined this being the biggest threat to civilization in the 24th century. That's a long time from now, but I sure see a lot of Borg-like activities happening in this century, in this country, in this world, and already in this new year. And the subversive message of Star Trek is that the Borg got it wrong. Resistance is not futile. In fact, it wasn't in the TV show either. And the only way that resistance is futile now in the real world is if we don't practice it, if we give up, if we, as Tim Snyder would put it, comply with tyranny in advance. There are many examples from every generation when people of goodwill, people committed to equity and justice, have had to decide intentionally to resist the forces of hate and domination. The civil rights movement in this country has more than its share of examples. Most of us have probably learned, if only in February, about Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Bayard Rustin, Joe Louis, and the many, many, many heroes and sheroes of the civil rights movement here. I wonder if you know the story of Anne Braden. Anybody? Some of you do. I am sorry to say that I hadn't really learned about Anne or her husband Carl until the last few years, and today their story feels like a good one to revisit. Anne Braden was born in 1924 in Louisville, Kentucky, and raised in rigidly segregated Alabama in the early 1930s. She became a journalist, which was a thing for her to accomplish. And one of her assignments led her to cover a march of Black veterans to the Birmingham, Alabama courthouse to demand their right to vote. Now, Anne a white woman, had always been troubled by segregation, but she had not known what or how to do anything about it. She thought it was simply a given, just the way the world was. But after witnessing this march, she was converted to the cause of racial justice, and throughout her life was one of the most consistent white voices. As Anne tells it, she was first arrested in 1951 when she led a delegation of Southern white women to Mississippi to protest the execution of Willie McGee, a black man who had been tried and convicted of, this is a quote, assault with intent to ravish, after a young white woman testified that he passed her on the opposite side of a country road and looked at her in an insulting way. It was a complicated case that directly played upon and mobilized racialized fears. And that was as successful a strategy then as it is being employed now. Anne and the many others who were protesting Willie's execution were not successful. He was executed by the state of Mississippi. On the day that she was in jail for her resistance to this act, Anne says that she experienced freedom for the first time in her life. Think about that. In jail, she experienced freedom for the first time in her life. And that was because she had decided to cast aside all of the scripts that had been written for women like her. And she decided that she would speak and act up. Anne and her husband Carl were probably perhaps most known for something that happened in 1954. They were approached by a black couple that they knew, Andrew and Charlotte Wade, with a proposal. The Wades wanted to purchase a home and raise their family. Their desires weren't any different from other couples starting a new life together, but Jim Crow laws and housing practices in the South made it impossible for them to do so. Black people were not allowed to purchase homes in the suburb where they wanted to live. They hoped that Anne and Carl might purchase the house on their behalf, and the Bradens agreed. The first night that the Wades spent in their new home was 2 days before the historic Brown versus Board of Education ruling that made school segregation illegal. 2 days before that, on their first night in their house, their neighbors burned a cross on the lawn and shot out the windows. Later, the house was blown up with dynamite. The Bradens were blamed for their act of resistance and solidarity, really. And interestingly enough, the people who were most unhappy with their actions accused them of being, you can probably imagine, communists. Carl was eventually tried and put in prison for sedition until those laws were themselves overturned. I'm telling you about Anne and Carl Braden today, knowing that neither of them would want to be valorized or set up as a role model of any kind. In fact, Anne said it embarrassed her greatly that a documentary had been made about her life. It's called Southern Patriot, if you want to watch it. So I'm not trying to set up either of them on a pedestal for us to emulate, and I want to use them as real human examples anyway, because they were just regular people. She was a reporter, he was a trade unionist. And I want to use them as examples really importantly because they were people who were not themselves being oppressed by racism. They were people who resisted oppression on behalf of others, not because they had to as a matter of personal survival, but because they had to as a matter of personal integrity, and as it turns out, communal survival. Would you take another breath with me? In our reading today, Adrienne Marie Brown talks about those acts of resistance that are done by countless individuals in small ways, but ways that matter a great deal on their own, and especially when combined with the small acts of resistance that others are engaged in their own spheres of influence. I've been thinking a little about some of those ways. When I was growing up, it never occurred to me that some of the women who had maintained their so-called maiden names after getting married were resistors. Many would not have called themselves activists, but they did resist the pressures of their society and sometimes their families in order to hang on to something that was theirs, that mattered to them. I think about the women of my great-grandmother's era who resisted the dehumanization of others around them with small acts of resistance. The choice to look someone scorned in the eye, to use their name, to be kind, to advocate for them at the checkout stand or other places where women had some influence. I think about folks now who carry their own containers with them when they go out to eat because they care about environmental justice, and they're not going to use a single-use container, much less styrofoam. I think about people right now who are working in corporate settings and schools who have continued to put their pronouns on their signature lines, not because they're being misgendered, but because they care deeply about trans people who absolutely do exist and who deserve to be honored and treated respectfully, and because this is what solidarity looks like. And right now, I'm so encouraged by the small acts of resistance that a small group of senior women are doing as they fill their prescriptions for estrogen that they do not need so that they can share them with trans women who cannot get access to them directly. All of these are examples of practicing resistance, not for the sake of being contrary, not just the ones who want to say no for the sake of saying no. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Those who are resisting for the larger sake of love and life and justice and community. Why would we practice resistance as a spiritual matter? Let's ponder that question for the whole month. But to start out with, I think we resist not necessarily because we believe we will win some battle or be victorious in achieving whatever our goal may be. We resist because if we do not, if we have surrendered or are silent, we have already lost. When talking about why the practice of resisting racial segregation and racism more generally was important to her, Anne Braden said this: "Either you find a way to oppose the evil, or the evil becomes a part of you and you of it. And it winds itself around your soul like the arms of an octopus. If I did not oppose it, I was also responsible for its sins." The practice of resistance has its own value. When we resist that which might corrupt our spirits, so that we can choose, no matter how risky or unlikely, a different way of living and loving and being than those who are trying to hoard wealth and power for themselves tell us is possible. The Borg said resistance is futile, but they got it wrong. Resistance is not futile if it helps us maintain our integrity. Resistance is not futile when our decisions to resist capitulation and conformity happens to inspire our neighbor or their friend or the kid down the street to engage in their own acts of resistance. Resistance has never been futile when fueled by love and directed at making life better for all of us who happen to have overlapping visits to this planet, as well as those we hope will come after us. Margaret Mead famously said, you can say it along with me if you like, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." The practice of resistance is, among others, a very helpful tool in the toolbox for building the world we long for, one centered in love and built on the foundations of justice and of peace.
Good morning. My name is John Robert O'Connor. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a member of the worship committee. This is the time in our service where we receive your offering. All Sunday non-pledged cash is split between monthly charities with Soul. This month's charity is Maine Family Planning. If you are worshiping with us in person, you can put your donations in the baskets that will be passed. And if you're worshiping with us either online or at home or one of the satellite locations, or simply prefer to give online, we invite you to use the QR code on the screen or share it in the order of service to make your donation. We gratefully receive your gifts no matter how you give them. If you're in person and have difficulty with the QR code, please feel free to find me after the service for assistance. If you will please join me in our congregational response. May these offerings sustain and grow the work of this church, weaving a tapestry and love and action. And now please rise in body or spirit as you are able to join us for our closing song, Immortal Love.
Immortal love, forever full, forever flowing free, forever share, forever whole, a never-ending sea. Our outward lips confess the name, all other names above. But love alone knows whence it came and comprehendeth love. Blow winds of love, awake and blow the mists of hate away. Sing out, O truth divine, and tell how wide and far we stray. The letter fails, the systems fall, and every symbol wanes. The Spirit overseeing all, eternal love remains.
The flame is extinguished, but we know that courage doesn't live in a chalice. It lives in what you do next. Choose well. The world is waiting.
Because we are intentional about building the beloved community here beyond our shared time of worship, it's important for us to engage in the practice of invitation. The QR code on the screen will take you to a digital copy of our announcement sheets, several copies of which are available on the harvest table if you prefer something tangible. Here are a few things we want to make sure to highlight. At the worship committee service last Sunday, we invited people to put up Post-it notes with something they wanted to carry forward into 2026, or something they aspired to. We've typed each of those onto new paper and put them up where the Post-its were on this side of the sanctuary. We also made a word cloud of all the words on the Post-it notes, and the word cloud is next to the transcribed Post-its. The word cloud is a wonderful snapshot of our congregation's aspirations for 2026. Please take an opportunity to view that as you leave today. Over the coming months, Tobin Cooney Callanan and Jeremy Litchfield will be holding gatherings after some of the Sunday services for coffee and conversations to explore how our UU values help us become centered in love. We'll start by talking about love itself and then move through each value in turn. These are not intended to be lectures or lessons. They're conversations where we can think loud together about what these values mean in our lives and in the world right now. The first coffee and conversation session will take place in the Mary Meeting Bay room right after the service on January 11th. The Side Door Coffee House is back, coming Friday, January 9th. This month's installment will feature, as per usual, an open mic from 7 to 8:15. Following this will be a featured act, singer-songwriter Kat Logan presenting some of her songs for an hour. Open mic sign-up starts precisely at 6:45. $12 is asked for all attending at the door over the age of 17. All proceeds go to support the church as well as the featured performer. Please note that the Qigong session for Wednesday, January 7th has been canceled. The next session will take place on Wednesday, January 21st. There will be a newcomer chat after the service this morning if you are new to UUCB and would like to learn a bit more about our community. Please visit Vicki Simpson, member of the UUCB Membership Committee, in the Wendell Berry Room at the back of the sanctuary, third door on the right, as you head towards coffee hour, and feel free to bring your coffee with you to the newcomer chat. The UUCB Growth Task Force has been working to reduce crowding in our Sunday morning worship. To that end, it is strongly urging everyone who regularly attend in-person services to attend a service at the Evening Star Theater once a month. We've extended our experiment for an additional 8 weeks, so services will be streamed to the Evening Star on Sundays today through March 15th. Make a New Year's resolution to engage in this effort and go with a group of your church friends, chalice circle, or committee. There's plenty of parking, comfortable seats, seats with a cup holder, large screen and great sound, and even free popcorn. And if you want to return to church for coffee hour or a meeting, it's only a 3-minute walk. Now, we'd like to give you those seated in the last 6 rows in the fellowship hall the first chance at coffee, while others linger just a few moments to enjoy conversation with your neighbors. The dual purpose of this is so that we can stack chairs to make space for socializing, and it should only take a few minutes. Thank you for your patience as we experiment together. And remember, you can exit through the door by the AV room as well if you need a quicker way out. Please greet your neighbors.